Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to The Link. I'm really excited that you've joined me today. We have been in a groundbreaking series on how to have spiritual conversations and engage Gen Z around the gospel. I hope you've benefited from them. If you have not checked out previous editions of this series, please go back. They're all available for you wherever you watch The Link. Now, we have been examining and taking a deep dive into a research report, Gen Z report by the Barna Research Group, Volume 3. This has been one that's really informed our team and really inspired me to have these conversations with you. But I come to these conversations not just as a pastor, but as a parent as well, raising an 18-year-old, a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So pray for me. But I think you understand that I have a vested interest in this conversation, in particular for my daughter, who's a college student, and my son, who's about to be a high schooler. I want to see them reach with the gospel. Hopefully you do as well. Now, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to John Irvine. John has been a wonderful partner in ministry, and we had some incredible conversations around some of the findings here in this Gen Z report. John oversees engagement of university students for us here at Woodside Bible Church and is a great gift to our church family. So pray for him as he tries to help us to make movement in these spiritual conversations for this generation. Let me just say, if you are in Gen Z, so I'm talking high schoolers, university students, those between the age of 13 to 25 or so, I just want you to know that we love you. And I want you to know in particular that it is a heart passion of mine to make sure that the church broadly, and certainly Woodside Bible Church, is a place that you can call home. I know that there have been horror stories of the way that the church has failed this generation and previous generations. And although I think the gospel is perfect, I won't pretend that the church has lived up to the perfect standard of the gospel. We've made many mistakes in the past, and I wish I had a rewind button to go back and fix those. But the reality is that I can't. But what I can promise you is that as much as it's possible with me, I want to make sure that we're listening well, that we are learning as we listen to you, that we're lamenting together over the wounds and the hurts and the mistakes that have been made in the past, but that we're also leading well into the future as it pertains to reaching your generation with the gospel, because I really do believe that in spite of some of the mistakes of the church, that the gospel is the only hope for the world today. I really do believe that Jesus is true, good, and beautiful, and that he is the only way for us to experience the type of life that we hope for, life more abundantly, as the Bible calls it. And so with that being said, let me just conclude and wrap up this series by mentioning a couple things that I hope you take away from it. Number one, and this is the umbrella of it all, is the spiritual openness that this generation has for the gospel. Remember what we said is that we are not living in a post-Christian age anymore. We're living in a pre-Christian age. Now, the difference between post-Christian and pre-Christian is that post-Christian comes with cynicism only. There is a sense that we have been there. We've done that. We've tried Christianity. It's failed. We're not interested. Pre-Christian comes with curiosity. We weren't raised in church. We don't know what you guys believe. We're curious to understand what you have to offer, and we're willing to give you a hearing. This is where we stand right now. Many in this generation have parents that didn't go to church, and so they didn't go to church. What they know about Christianity and faith may be from things they've seen on social media, memes, posts, third-party stories, but maybe not personal stories. So let's engage with this sense of hopeful optimism. And if what's happening around the country is any indication of what God is doing right now, we should be hopeful that there's a tremendous amount of spiritual openness and even fruit of revival that's coming in this moment. Now, two other big findings, and that is, I think we all know that gender and sexuality is a big conversation. It's always been. I mean, I remember being a teenager and going through my own questions about sexuality. I think we've all had to travel that journey, some with brokenness and pain in that journey, others with lingering questions even into adulthood. So we shouldn't be surprised that this generation is going through their own journey. So let's just remember, though, that as we talk about the LGBTQIA movement within our country, that we do so not as just a demographic group, but remembering that combined between those who identify in that category or those who have friends, about 65% of them either have friends or identify themselves in that way. So let's talk about it in a personal manner. Let's talk about how we can move beyond the question of right and wrong. Doesn't mean that that question isn't important. We need to be able to always come back to what the Bible says about ethics. I don't want to let go of that at all, but we also need to move into relationship. So how do we have friendships? How do we care well for those who might have differing beliefs than us here? How do we speak the truth in love? This is really important, in particular for the Gen Zer you meet that says, hey, I do believe in the Bible, but I don't exactly know how to have those conversations with the friend that's in the dorm with me or at work with me or at school with me. So I want to make sure that we are talking in loving terms of friendship and relationship. And this is what Jesus did. Remember, one of the great criticisms that Jesus received in his earthly ministry is that he was a friend to sinners. And he didn't run from that. He didn't run from those that he broke bread with, those that he befriended. And we need to ask ourselves, what was it about Jesus that drew them to him? Because surely it wasn't that he compromised the truth. What that tells me is it's possible to speak the truth in love, to combine the virtues of grace and truth. So when it comes to talking about gender and gender sexuality, let's not do so in combative terms. This is not a matter of declaring victory with the sword. This is about winning friends with love, and hopefully we can do that well. Final thing I just want to take away from this entire series is the need for community. Our hearts are wired and long for community. And in an age, especially post-COVID, of social isolation, hyper high-tech interactions, people need community. And I pray that the church will be both high-tech and high-touch, that we will be able to leverage, yes, the tools of social media and even venues like this where we can connect with one another. We can't be Luddites and pretend like technology is a bad thing. It really isn't. It's a good thing when used rightly. But let's make sure we're inviting them to real spiritual family and community. That's where life groups become important. And you simply saying to somebody, hey, I got some friends. We're going to get together for dinner. We'd love for you to come and spend time with us. This is where the church becomes important. Yes, the Sunday gathering, but even more than that, as we scatter throughout the week into neighborhoods and homes, let's make sure we're inviting people into community and relationships. So there's a lot to be said, and please know that this series of episodes, was just to scratch the surface, but we want you to keep the conversation going at your own campus with your own pastors. And if you're not a member of Woodside, engage your church around this and say, what are we doing to reach Gen Z? The church that's only consumed with this moment is already starting to die. We got to think about the next chapter, the next decade, and the next generation if we're going to be a part of the revival that God is sending. So I pray that this will be your heartbeat. Speaking of prayer, final encouragement, make that prayer list of 2 to 3, maybe even 5 Gen Zers that you are praying. Lord, touch them, show them your love, help them to know that you are true, good, and beautiful. Well, there'll be a link in the postscript for this episode of this Gen Z report, and I can't wait till we're together again on the next edition of The Link.